Well, hi there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I am Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
Ladies, it is fabulous to be with you this week. Everybody having a good week? We doing good?
Doing great during fabulous, drinking out of my Stanley mug. That's 40 ounces of
my
water
goodness.
Morning.
Oh my gosh.
This was a gift. I'm just letting you know. Not that it's wrong to buy it. I just
And apparently
I'm loving
mugs
it.
are not in anymore, so it's okay.
I've got my Stanlina mug over here.
There you go.
Erin cracks me up because Rikki and I are like, we have our Peloton. She's like, I have my Peloton.
Peloton.
You got your Stanley mugs. I got my this.
Bougie not over here.
Please.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Except for you have on the shirt with the saying that's really nice.
That's right.
Once in a while, someone amazing comes along, and here I am.
My coworker got that for me. Isn't that sweet? Actually, is this the one they got for me, or did I get this one for myself? Maybe I got this one for myself to remind everybody I'm like fabulous. Hold on.
See, that's the confidence we all need.
Right? I got it off of Amazon, y'all. So last week we were what were we talking about last week? My brain. We were talking about non-scale victories, and there was this little moment that kind of popped up that we thought, you know what, I want to dive in a little bit deeper on that. And it was about comparison. And I know we've talked about comparison before, but comparison maybe as it relates to having a little bit of compassion. So self-comparison versus some self-compassion, and just thinking about, what happens when we dive into self-comparison. And really like when the compassion for ourselves kind of flies out the window. So I just wanted to kind of get some conversation going around that.
I think it is so difficult when you're on any type of weight loss journey, or like we've talked about in the culture that we're in, to not compare yourself and your journey to others, especially with so many people who are very, very vocal about the changes that they have made for themselves and how their lives have changed. And if you're not stacking up, or if the changes that you feel you've made are not as grandiose, that can be difficult. I know it is for me. I'm that person who doesn't want to go after somebody who has done something really, really big. I remember in our meeting center, if at the end, they'll ask you like, who had weight loss this week? And somebody would say, well, I just wanted to report that this week was a really good week. I lost 5.4 pounds, and you're really, really excited for them. But you were just about to share that you lost 2. And
4.2,
4.2. And it took all the air out of my excitement about it, because I was looking at this person who had more weight loss than me that week. And somehow it's like my celebration was less. And so I still something I struggle with now. I'm really happy for others and happy for their success, but I don't know really how to still be proud of myself for the things that I've done. And I see that consistently throughout, not just Weight Watchers, but just in life. What about you guys? Do you all relate to that at all?
Yeah, I think a lot of times I do fall into the trap of comparing myself, whether it's to people within my own circle or whether it's people online through social media, because I think it can work in a couple of different ways. There can be someone who I look up to who maybe is on social media and has lost, like they started at the same weight I am, at my starting weight, and they've lost a significant amount of weight and they're keeping it off. But even in that positive way where they may be a positive role model, they are not me, and their body is not my body. So the things that they do, I think we have to be careful, and I have to watch how I'm influenced. Are they sponsored by, this brand? And am I deciding that maybe that brand is going to work for me because they were at the same starting weight as me and now they've lost, however many pounds. So I think the comparison can be real. And even when it seems innocent, there are some ways I have to watch, how I'm influenced and also how I'm viewing myself. Am I making myself feel bad, or am I saying negative things about myself at the expense of saying something positive about someone else? And even comparing myself to prior versions of myself. I know last week I was talking about my initial Weight Watchers journey and how it, the weight did come off pretty quickly, but I was a teenager and I was very active. I was walking around all the time. I was in a school building where there were steps, right? I work in a school now. There are no steps, and I may get a lot of steps, but I'm not walking up and down the steps. I'm not taking Metro to get home. I can't compare this version of myself even to a previous version of myself.
Yeah, Rikki, I so felt that at that moment, because like a lot of things have been popping up in my news feed from like 2016, 2017, when I was at, for sure, my lowest WW weight. And what I have to keep reminding myself when I see those pictures, and I'm like, man, I see this one, like, man, I really like the way I look in this picture. Let me go to my weight record. And I sit there like scroll, you know? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Here we go, 2016. And I'm like, what the heck? That's 25 pounds lighter than where I am now. I'll never get back to that. Right. And I'm like, well, first off, never say never, ma'am. So check yourself right there, because you're wrecking yourself. Don't speak those words. But then second of all, like, you need to remember too, context of what was happening then. And so the thing is that time for me, my thyroid was out of whack. And I was at the start of me moving into hyperthyroid, and that unleashed anxiety and panic attacks. It unleashed heart palpitations. It unleashed major depression. And it took them so long to figure out that I moved to hyper. And the beautiful thing about the hyper, everything else that was terrible, it actually sped up my metabolism, which meant I lost weight. That's how I got there. I mean, I know I was still working the plan, but it got me there. So I always have to have context of like what was happening in my world back then. But even then, 2016 was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 years ago. Come on now.
But see, what I'm hearing us say, even in how we're sharing now, is kind of the self-compassion piece. Like you're automatically doing it. It's like, wait a second. Yes, this is this, I'm not where I was here or this, but let me look at this from an actual lens. So I think that that's growth, that you're even able to do it so quickly, because that's a skill that I know took me some time to develop, because I could really be in the self-loathing for the majority of how I viewed my journey. Like, how could I have gained that weight? How could this have happened? Like, I can't believe it. Well, I didn't do it as well as that person did. Oh, well, I thought 2 pounds was something, but it's not 5. I mean, that doesn't feel good, but it came so naturally because that's what I was doing. And that's what I was used to saying. That was my internal dialogue. And I'm very interested, because I know that there's some members and people who are still stuck in that. Like, what do you all feel helped you make that transition to kind of the way that you all were expressing today, when you were talking about the things that really could have been negative, or you could have stayed in a negative space in terms of how you viewed it, and talk to yourself more compassionately? Was it just time?
Well, I think for me, it's a little bit of time, some awareness, and even kind of back to what we talked about last week, starting to see those non-sale victories. When you start, because it's forcing you to look through a different lens. And when you start looking through one thing through a different lens, I think that kind of opens the door to start seeing other things through a different lens. And also, I don't want to live mad at myself. I don't want to live disappointed in myself anymore. I've done that. I've done that for a while.
You're over it.
Right. And like, so my boss always has this great thing. He's like, how's that working for you? I'm like, how's that working for me? Actually, it's not really working for me. It's not leaving me feeling better. It's not adding anything into my life. And, Candice, like we've talked about before, they're not what I would call life-giving thoughts. So how about if I just swap the thought a little bit? And it's not a toxic positivity thing, or, because I think sometimes it can land on the side. You've got to be careful that you're not giving yourself an excuse.
Sure.
Right. But let's just be honest in a moment of, here's the reason why, and just dealing honestly with it. I keep talking. I'm plugging in my computer because I realize it's about to die. I don't know
Yeah.
why I didn't notice it until now.
I mean, I agree with everything that Erin said, and I think it is a learning process and an unlearning process.
Yeah.
And like you're kind of saying, Erin, like those things haven't served me in the past. And the biggest reason why I think I gained the weight back was because I didn't appreciate myself where I was, and I didn't see myself. I think there was some body dysmorphia going on. Like I lost over like 50 pounds and I still felt heavy. I still on a BMI chart was obese. But I mean, you could snap my collarbone if you looked at it. My cheeks were gone. I carried a lot of weight in my hips, but I was strong. And that, I think all of those things put together made me feel like, because my thighs were bigger, because I was still considered obese on a BMI chart. My doctor, every time I went there, wouldn't acknowledge that I lost weight and still just saw the number on the scale and said, okay, you need to lose some more weight. All of those things combined, I think, made me not appreciate where I was and not see myself for who I was. And I look back at pictures of that time and have that like, oh my gosh, I wish I could be like that now. But I'd have to stop that thought and say, okay, we're going to move forward and we're going to lose weight at how 37-year-old Rikki can lose weight, not how 17-year-old Rikki can lose weight. And we're going to appreciate where we are now and where we are at each point until we get to our goal weight.
And it makes me think of the Marianne Williamson quote that I'm going to butcher so badly, but there's a part in there where she says, when you're willing, I'm going to paraphrase it to say, when you're willing to share the things about yourself, there's somebody else who you're giving light to be able to find the beauty in their own journey. Because if you only have the people who are so loud about the big things, right? For those who may not have the voice or that's not who they are, I think that you being able to celebrate those things helps other people. And that's something that's always been important to me, is to say, okay, I'll be the one to celebrate the 1 pound. I'll be the one to celebrate like that I ate the fruit this week. And even though the scale was up, I'm really proud of myself for my endurance, because I think other people need to see that those are things that you can be proud of and that you can love yourself for. And it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing that's bigger or better. If they're 100 pounds less than you, if they are, a track star and they've done this, that you and your value is not in the comparison. It's in you seeing the difference in how you have been. And again, like I said, in the social media obsessed world that we're in and in the culture, it's not something that is easily done, especially when you don't have enough voices, I think, out there, because we internalize a lot and we'll smile. I know I'll smile and say that I'm not, but I'm looking and I am still comparing. I'm getting better at it, but I have to ask myself and challenge myself daily as to why do I have that reaction to when somebody shares something? Why is it making me want to minimize the things that I do?
Because I think when we look at big picture, we haven't mentioned our guy Cy at Fitness in a while.
Yeah.
And I think about him saying, the 1 pound a week, how much is that, in a year? And it's like
52 weeks in a year, 52 pounds. I don't know about you, but I would take that 52 pounds.
Exactly. And I know we're not comparing, but just for the sake of this argument, like, let's say we're going with the person who shares in the meeting room that they lost 5 pounds. That's great. But maybe they are on a journey where they lose 5 pounds in 1 week and then they don't lose for another 5 weeks. And then they gain 10 pounds and then they're down, and I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that person who loses 1 pound a week and maybe doesn't want to share, they've lost 52 pounds at the end of the year versus maybe someone who's more on a yo-yo looking type journey. And in the end of a year, it's up and down, up, down. Maybe they've lost 10 or maybe they're up at the end of the year. So those short-term data points aren't really what we should be focusing on. It really is the long-term consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys, I was just thinking about in terms of like maybe how does other people's advice or thoughts affect you in comparison? Have you ever been good on a space in your journey and maybe even someone says something nice to you and all of a sudden it throws you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like you start thinking about, oh gosh, did they think that I was this before? And then you start comparing yourself in all the different ways.
Yeah. It's you look so much better, or, and well, what did I look like before? Or, hey, I mean, you're really doing this. And you may be proud of yourself. Like, yes, I put on some makeup today. Like, thank you. However, what are you trying to say?
One of my coworkers who I love her, and very few people could get away with doing this, but this one can do it because I know it doesn't come with a malicious bone in her body. But she'll look at me and she goes, "Why are you not wearing makeup today?" Culturally for her, she's like, "You would look so much better with a little bit more makeup." I never leave the house without makeup.
Yeah.
And most people you'd be like them fighting words, but it's her. And I'm like, oh, mean. Okay. Thank you.
But to your point, what if it weren't her?
Right. If it wasn't her, I would be like, let you and I are going to have a conversation
First
about
of
what
all,
not
you don't
to
know
say.
anything about my makeup. You don't know what my face looks like, But it should be that it's like, oh, that's interesting, It's a very interesting thought. Thank you for sharing. But I don't know. I am impacted still. I have not mastered that. I am impacted by the words of others as much as I don't want to be, because I think that comes with years of external validation. But I think that it still has to go back to I need to master how to make my internal voice louder. Right.
Yeah.
And so checking in with myself first, because maybe what if I woke up and I looked and I said, I like how I look today. I'm really, really proud of this. Like, this is something that I'm wearing my favorite top, and I'm going to go in and somebody's like, oh, I mean, you usually wear really nice clothes. Where'd you get that top from? And it's like, no, I like this. This is the top that I picked and I really enjoy it. I have to sit with the fact that somebody else doesn't. But I do think it's about the wavelength, kind of like a radio. Like what wavelength is louder?
Yes.
And how do you increase that? And is that, just practice?
Yeah. I wish I could have practiced that and strengthened that muscle younger, because there are words that I remember being said to me, both negative and positive, about my body that I think have had a lasting impact. And I've shared this before, but I think even some of the positive attention that I got when I first lost weight, I wasn't prepared for. And I'd say this again, there was this amazing article that WW wrote, probably 7-8 years ago at this point, but it was about how to kind of train yourself for the things that might be different when you lose weight. And some of them were simple things like, you might be cold more often. You don't have as much, keeping you warm. And the biggest thing that I took away from that was the attention piece. And it was a light bulb moment for me that I did not like the attention that I got. And I withered into myself. And I think that's when I started to let myself gain the weight. And it's been a protector to me ever since. And health-wise, obviously it's not, but socially and emotionally, it's been a barrier. And I think that I've had to learn, and I'm in the process of learning, that when I lose this weight, it's going to be okay if I do get that attention. And if I don't, it's okay too. But like you said, Candice, I can't be motivated by the words of others. I can't, whether I go out and think I look fabulous and nobody says anything, or if I go out and I think I look fabulous and everybody does, that shouldn't make me like my head get bigger. It shouldn't make me recoil. It should just be feedback.
Yeah. The experiences that you went through then, right now you're on the other side. And so, you knew how you reacted then, you knew how it felt then, and you're a different person now.
Yeah.
And so you can choose, even now, knowing how that felt. How would I have reacted now as this person?
Mhm.
What would I have done differently? Because now, if
Yeah.
you think about that, then now you're prepared to be able to react
Mhm.
that way now for when that comes
Yeah.
along. I
It's a
think those
role
are,
play.
yeah, exactly, like role play.
Mhm.
But I think about we're getting ready to go into for a lot of people, we're coming towards the end of school now, and which means folks are getting ready to light out onto vacation.
Mhm.
And I know that there are people who are already mentally planning how to get around the vacation photos at the beach, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people take, or wearing a bathing suit at the pool,
Yeah.
wearing the bathing suit at the beach,
Mhm.
hiding behind people, cover ups that completely cover you up, and already starting to do this self comparison thing. And you haven't even set foot in the store. Just even setting the foot in to go look at bathing suits already starts to trigger
Yeah.
big time for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we had talked about. I think I had shared a couple years ago with, I was really looking at bathing suits, and I had a younger son at that time, even younger than now. But I was wanting to hide from photos and things because I was comparing myself to other women, to other mothers, and other people who snap back from pregnancy and from having babies, and they looked amazing. I think that our mind, part of that compassion piece for me that I've had to recently deal with, and that's going into what you're talking about, Erin, this summer is I just finished up a cancer journey, and I'm on the other side of it, thank God. But there's side effects and things that my body is different, and it holds weight differently, and it holds weight in places I don't like that it's holding weight. Um, but I'm still so proud. I have scars now that I didn't have before. I have discoloration with skin and things that people may or may not ask about. Um, but the compassionate piece is look at what I went through and the fact and the things that I had to overcome. There can be proudness in the fact that I got here and that the scars tell a story,
Mhm.
and that there's strength in those things. And that, yes, I may have chemo belly and I'm certainly not looking like the Baywatch, person. Not that I ever really did. But I certainly am not now, but there's still some beauty in that, but nobody else can see it if I'm already starting from a place of not
Yeah.
seeing it, because I think that people pick up on your energy. You've seen someone who's confident regardless of what their body looks like. And it's just a difference in how they present. They could be the exact same weight as you, but confident versus hiding,
Mhm.
there's a aura about it. There's
Mhm.
a way that you present, and that self-compassion does show when you're able to say, yes, this is where I am and this is what it is.
Can
Yeah.
I just say, like, one of the things I love about this Gen Z and Gen A that's growing up now
Mhm.
is they are all about that body acceptance part of, like, it doesn't matter what size you are, you're rolling out to the beach. We're all having fun at the beach together and hyping each other up at how you look. I mean, we grew up in an era where I was just watching, like, one of the Instagram channels has a bunch of stuff from the 80s, and they were playing a clip from a TV show, and it was like just brutal, where they were making fun of an obese woman and calling her fat, and
Mhm.
that was the butt of the joke. And it's like, my gosh, that like just took me back
Mhm.
to, I remember that, and I remember where that was just so accepted. And now today people are horrified by this. But like, I mean, we do come at this from depending on how old you are in this weight journey, right? Like, there's a part of it where you do come at it from an honest place, because that's what was acceptable on TV. That's how people our age were trained,
Mhm.
through examples on TV, to talk to people who were remotely over the accepted, BMI or whatever. Now we've just, some different understandings about things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, gosh,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah, definitely. And, but I also was wondering, what are some of the ways that you all have found to kind of help get you out of that space? Like you said, because we are coming into the place of that acceptance. Like for me, wearing different colors, kind of I've been the one who likes the the darker, darker tones and things. And I like to kind of hide in the corner but challenging yourself, finding ways to challenge yourself, compassionately, is something that I was just wondering, have you all found any tips or tricks that have helped you when you've addressed that in the past?
Go ahead, Erin.
Rikki. No, you go ahead. I've been yakking.
Well, I don't know if this is answering your question, but I'm thinking about like just the body positivity things. And while I am at this weight where I am plus size, there are so many things now that are available to people who are plus size where you can, buy a dress that doesn't look like a muumuu. Oddly enough, one of my favorite brands is Show Me Your Muumuu, and it's actually like really cute clothes that like when I first got into the brand, they didn't really have a lot of plus size clothing. It was like extra small to large. And now they have.
And it's called Show Me Your Muumuu when they had extra small.
Yes. I don't know where the name came from, but it's not cheap clothing, but they now have like 1X, 2X, 3X clothing and really beautiful things to choose from. Another thing that I found out about this very weekend was something called Nuuly. Have you guys heard of this? So it is basically like Rent the Runway. And for anyone who hasn't done Rent the Runway, it's where you can, and oh my gosh, I'm missing my Weight Watchers rewards where I got free Rent the Runway. I think it was twice through, I'm blanking on the name of it, of what was it called?
The Wellness Wins.
Wellness Wins. Yeah.
I got Rent the Runway, and basically they would send you this giant garment bag with, I think it was maybe 5 items, and you could wear them for the month. It was a certain fixed amount. I got them for free because of Wellness Wins for that month, but you could try them on, you could wear them. My experience wasn't amazing with the plus size things that I had, but they also had accessories that I loved, and I loved the idea of it. Some of the clothes didn't fit too well. But Anthropologie, Nuuly is something that has Anthropologie clothes, if you're familiar with that brand, and a few other brands like Free People, some really beautiful, like semi-designer brands that, the dresses might cost upwards of like $200-$300. And you have this monthly fee you pay, and you can get these dresses. I think it's $6 a month, and they have jeans, jackets, things, accessories, things like that. But they have plus sizes. And my point in saying all this is that there's so many ways to style a plus size body now where even if you are in the process of losing weight and between sizes, you don't have to commit to buying a wardrobe. You can invest in something like that where you have, a couple sizes sent to you, and you can have a dress to wear to a wedding or a nice outfit to wear to work. So I think there's a lot of ways to appreciate your body wherever you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah. So what I hear in that, Rikki, too, is, getting yourself something new, getting something that makes you feel pretty.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes getting a new piece of clothing gives you a little bit of confidence, or getting a new piece of jewelry just helps spark things. And I feel that, like, for me, Candice, a little bit to like what you were saying about the color, like I realized all of my wardrobe this winter was all dark gray, black. And I realized it was really a reflection of how I was feeling about myself. Like I haven't felt good about myself this winter at all. And my wardrobe was reflecting it. And I was like, I need to step back on this. And I need to ask myself why I don't feel good about myself right now. And why is it when I don't feel good about myself, I go to those colors? Well, it's because I want to hide. And so I need to just even mentally trick myself. So even me I'm in a purple shirt right now. We're in springtime. I'm like, okay, let me get some shirts that have some flowers on it and some bright flowers and like a pop of color. And when I start wearing things that have pops of color, like I feel my soul starts to have a pop of color with it too. Do you feel that same way?
Yeah. And I think that part of what I think all of you all are saying that I'm taking and reminding myself internally is that you don't have to wait until you have lost a certain amount of weight to buy the new outfit. Like, oh, I don't want to buy an outfit at this size. I want to buy it I can buy it right now. the pillows, my joke is always the pillows aren't really hiding anything. So when I'm sitting down with someone, you look the same behind the pillow as you do in front of it. So if you think the pillows, because there's a way that you kind of are when you don't feel confident, or you are not giving yourself that same compassion, the way that you hold your arms, the way that you sit, the way that you do things. So I want to remind myself that right now, I could buy the pink top or the yellow top if I wanted to, or the dress, and that may accentuate different things, but tastefully, but that can do it in a way that makes me feel good, and know that it's right now, because this is all we have. So, getting past that whole, I'm going to buy the outfit later on.
And there's some really great options too. If you don't want to do something like Nuuly or Rent the Runway, you can do like consignment shops or places where things are maybe gently used and they're discounted. Also, I found a dress that I wore for Easter that was from Target. And, it may have been a new item, but I think it was like $25. And, I feel like I don't have the same level of guilt as I would have for splurging on like a 3-digit dress that maybe fits me or will fit me in a year. I put that in quotes because I've bought those dresses before too.
Famous last words. Well, I love this piece, because here's the thing: when we dive into comparison, there is no room for self-compassion.
Exactly.
Even the start of comparison immediately sucks the life out of self-compassion. And so, our hope for you and for each of us is like the minute that self-comparison starts, like we pull the brake on that and start treating ourselves with some compassion and reminding ourselves either of our why, and also a little bit to back to what we talked to you, like 2 episodes ago, about other people's thoughts and other people kind of weighing in, or us looking to other people for validation for things, to be able to say, hey, I'm good as I am right now. I feel beautiful as I am right now. Am I at my goal? No, I'm not at my goal, but I'm working my way to my goal. And I've had a really successful day, or I've made this choice, right? Starting with that space of self-compassion makes such a difference, and it actually helps you get closer to your goal, your mental goals and physical goals, because you're not working against yourself with that comparison and with negativity. I think we've all seen it, we've all experienced. And Rikki, I think you gave some really good examples for yourself of how dipping farther into that comparison starts to hold you back and hold you up. And we've all seen it, experienced her now on a different point, but that doesn't mean that doesn't still pop up. Like I was saying, like I looked at stuff I was like, oh, when am I ever going to look like that again? You're not, ma'am, because you're 7 years older and it's going to be different this time.
That was said compassionately to yourself. I hear the compassion in that statement.
Right. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, we wish you guys a good week. We'd love to catch up with you in the Real WW Talk Facebook group, YouTube, Instagram, the podcast. We are everywhere. You can also send us, oh, there she is. Candice froze a little second right there. You can also send us an email, realwwtalk@gmail.com, if you want to just shoot us over a little note. We'd love to hear it from you. Yeah. That's it. Have a great week. Anybody else want to add anything?
No. It's just always a great time talking. And I wish you all tons of self-compassion this week.
Yes. Have a great week.
We love it. Bye.